So when we looked at that balance sheet from Aritzia, you might have been thinking, how did somebody put that together? How does everybody know how to use the same rules? Okay, and even though I call these rules, they're not per se rules because rules are hard facts. They're either this or that. They're more like principles, and principles are more like you should do this, or it's like guidance, but then you have to use your professional judgment. So in Canada, we actually have two sets of generally accepted accounting principles, okay? And we refer to this as Gaap. And the one set is called IFRS, and that is International Financial Reporting Standards. And then the second set is called ASPE, and that's Accounting Standards for Private Enterprises. So if you're a publicly traded company, meaning your shares are trading on the stock exchange, you would follow IFRS. And so over 100 countries follow these standards as a way to have some comparability. So I'll just say that you use IFRS if you're a publicly traded company. Okay, and then if you're a private company, which just means your shares aren't trading on an exchange, you'd follow ASPE. And so then these are our standards for Canada. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to log into my Notia account, and this is where it will have these two sets of handbooks that we actually follow when we're preparing financial statements, and I'll just show you around. So when I log into the Notia website, this is the welcome page that I get. And then the accounting standards that I'm looking for is just under here where we have subscriptions. And because I'm an instructor and also because I have my CPA designation, I have access to the handbook. So there's several tabs here, but where we find our information is just under accounting. Now there's actually 5 parts to the handbook. And so then when we're looking for our part, which is the IFRS standard, so this is for publicly traded companies, we're just going to go into part 1 of the handbook. And there's several editions because oftentimes some of our accounting standards change. So I'm just going to go into the 2020 edition just to make it a bit easier. And then what you'll see on this side is all of our accounting standards. So whenever we're trying to do something or a transaction while we're putting our financial statements together, we're using one of these standards for our guidance. And so I'll just click into one. Let's just say property, plant, and equipment. And then on the right or on the right-hand side, this will bring up the actual standard for that. And then what you could do is you can just print it out. So again, if you're using IFRS, you're a publicly traded company. So now let's just look at the standards that you would use if you're a private company. So these are the accounting standards for private organizations. So I'll just close part 1 of the handbook, and then we'll go into part 2 of the handbook. And so this is for accounting standards for private organizations. And this is pretty much set up in the same way as the IFRS standards are. So I'll go into the accounting standards, And then here they're numbered. And so then I'll try and find a similar standard that we just used. So I can open up the specific items, and here's the same type of standard for property, plant, and equipment. So this is section 3061. So if you're a private company, you would follow part 2 of the handbook. And if you're a publicly traded company, you would follow part 1. So this is a lot of information, and you probably start using pieces of the handbook once you get into your intermediate and advanced accounting courses.